What's up, everyone? It's Edward from barstarzz.com, and you guys were asking in the last video how to learn advanced calisthenics skills and how you should approach it. So this video is how you should go about learning a new skill in calisthenics. Now, we asked our panel of experts, many different backgrounds, many different years of experience, all trained here in Dyckman, New York City, and we caught up with them and asked them how you should approach learning a new skill and how they personally approach learning a new skill. I remember when I first started seeing the first muscle up I've ever seen, the guy just went over. I tried it just by watching him, and I was like, okay, let me try to pull up. Obviously, I got nowhere. I got maybe up to here, and I came back down. I eventually asked him for his information on how he got over, and he just told me just do it. And again, that didn't help me. So I'm sure many of you guys can relate, where you guys try to do something and it just doesn't work out for you. I feel like this video provides a lot of information. It is a lengthy video, but you're getting a good opinion from very, very experienced people. It's all people I have a ton of respect for, and I feel like it hit a very nice set of different movements. This video aims to provide you a safer way to approach new skills, as well as B, a more efficient way, so that your span is a bit shorter than these people that went through them. I hope you could take some of the tips you learned from this video and implement it into your training. As always, please subscribe if you find the video useful. We release new videos every week on the Formidable Calisthenics. Enjoy. Alright, what's up, everyone? I'm here with Fitness Buddha, former champions of multiple freestyle calisthenic tournaments here in New York and abroad. So we're asking everyone today, what's the best way to approach learning a new skill, such as planche, front lever, or even dynamic skills?
Well, the way I go into a new skill, I would see the first progression for that skill and try to do that as much as I can until it feels easier, and then just move up with progressions until eventually I learn the skill that I want to learn.
Wait, let's give an example. So let's say, what's the move you had the toughest problem with?
The planche.
The planche. So like, alright, so day one, you decided, yo, I'm gonna make a conscious effort to approach the planche. How?
Well, then I didn't really know about any progression, so I would just try and do it. Just trying it, the regular straddle planche, bent arm. And as I learned more about it, I realized that I had to do the planche leans, a lot of planche leans, and from there I started getting a little stronger with my planches.
And how often did you train it?
I feel like I'm still a beginner at it, but I've been training it for about a few years now, 3 years. And
let's say on a weekly basis.
On a weekly basis, I'll try to hit it at least 3 times a week.
And do you work out 3 times a week, or you work out more?
No, I work out 5 times a week, about 5 times.
Do you practice it every training session or no?
Just about. I try to do planches on almost every training session.
You say you train 5 times a week and you practice it?
Yeah, on the other days, I mostly freestyle or just cardio sessions.
Oh, okay, got it. And how do you balance conditioning with learning skills? So like, let's say reps or general conditioning, where you focus on different exercises, and then very specifically skills. Do you do them both at the same time? Do you separate them?
I'll separate them. One day I'll do a cardio session, and then that same day, maybe later on, I'll work on planche leans or planches. But in one workout, I'll try to just focus on one thing. And sometimes I'll do different things. I don't really have a set of rules on how I work out. I just go in there. If my focus is planches, then I'll do planches. Sometimes my focus will be planches, front levers, and hefestos. So I'll do one set of planches, one set of hefesto, one set of front lever, and I'll do rounds of that until I get tired. And some days I'll just do freestyles. Yeah, it depends on how my body feels as well.
So at this point, how long have you been training?
Calisthenics 6 years. Freestyle, competing the last 3 years since 2014.
So you feel like you have the program that works best for you for learning new skills? Right.
I feel like I can learn a lot more. I just have to meet with people who are as high as, higher than I am, and ask them for questions until I get better on the plans.
All right, last question. Your advice that's very actionable, something that someone could do after watching this video, on how they should approach learning a new skill. A very actionable tip that they should go on with.
Just work on it little by little. Every day, just little by little. Depends on how you feel, how your body feels, and don't stop. until eventually you'll get it, and you will get it because the body is meant to adapt.
Thank you very much. What's up, everyone? I'm here today with Samir, and we're asking everyone how they should approach learning a new skill.
First and foremost, watch it, visualize it. Once you got yourself confident enough in your head where you feel like you can do it, just go for it. Obviously try to not hurt yourself, but that's the risk that you're taking when you're trying to learn something new.
So I think that covers different moves. So like some moves you can learn same day. For example, just a quick example, when you go over the bar and you tuck under and you roll forward, we've taught people that within minutes. But let's say a more long-term move. So you're really good with handstands. Let's say, how would you approach that? Would you approach handstands similar to other moves? Or that's a very long-term move. So how would you approach a long-term move?
A long-term move? I mean, just like anything else, man. Just practice. You have to understand that there's going to be risks involved, which is getting hurt, It's just part of the game. You can't avoid it. Some people do get lucky because they're just skillful enough where they can just catch things quickly. But if you're not one of those, you just got to be confident and just keep going at it, man. Practice makes perfect. To make that comparison to handstands, for example, myself, till this day, I still practice against the wall. It's just my go-to move. I feel confident when I do it. I'm not gonna hurt myself, so I practice it constantly. So when I can come out here, it feels easy, So that's how I would approach any other move. It's just practice, man. Practice makes perfect.
How long have you been practicing the handstand?
Well, I started back in April of 2014. I started against the wall. From there, I came and met you guys. And then I practiced against this fence here, and then just doing it every day at home. Eventually, I got better at it, and now I'm super confident.
7 days a week?
I wouldn't say 7 days a week, more like 5, because I always like to take one day for rest for myself. Your body needs that. I know some people think differently, but for me personally, taking that one day off mattered a lot.
Do you mix skill training with conditioning?
No.
So you have separate times where you do skills?
Yes, I practice more conditioning than anything, man. Really, I just do my basics every day, Monday through Friday, which is my push-ups, pull-ups, my dips, squats, I jump, I skip rope, and that's just to keep my body moving, just so that when I do come out and I try something different, I won't be like so stiff, you know what I mean? So I just try to keep myself moving throughout the week, so that when I do come here, there are days, like for example today, I did a back clap.
First time?
It's probably my second time doing it, but I felt confident, and I, felt good, so I tried it.
How did you practice for that?
I got on the small parallel bars, and I, what do you call that?
Pump?
Yeah, I practiced the pump first before I got up there. I was a little scared,
So you took a progression.
Yeah.
Well, you looked at the exercise and you brought it down.
Yes, you brought it down a notch, and then where I know I'm not gonna hurt myself, and then from there I took it to the top and successfully did it.
So that was the process. Clap on the lower bar, and then the next step was you got it on top.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yep.
And last question. So you practice the hand. You said you do the workout 5 times a week. At what point do you do the handstand? You do it at the beginning, during your workout, in between sets, or at the end, or 2 completely different sessions in the same day?
Honestly, I just try to get a handstand every time. Every time, bro.
What does every time mean, though?
Mean like I'm like besides me practicing against the wall, I just try to just hit a handstand. That's my thing.
Throughout the whole day?
Throughout the whole day, man.
So let's say estimate how many times you handstand.
Oh man, honestly,
Range.
probably like
Lowest and then the highest number it could be.
minimum 10 per day. I'm trying at least just as a whole day.
Separated from morning to night.
Yes. Throughout the day, at least 20 times a day. I'm trying. Literally, this is what I do.
Hey, look. All right.
I come back down, and I actually do that for wrist conditioning too, because my wrist, I'm getting a little older. My wrist do need, as much stretching as that.
Do you feel like that's been the best way to train for your handstand? Is the separating into small little practice sessions throughout the day?
Yes. Yeah, because the more I do it, man, the more confident you get. Going back to your first question, if you practice something continuously, you're gonna get better at it. There's no way around it, whether you practice music, whether you do art, or whether you do what we do. If you do it consistently, you're gonna get better at it.
Perfect. I think you summed it up.
You got it.
What's up, everyone? I'm here with Rebel today, and we're asking everyone what's the best way to approach learning a new skill.
I would say start with basics, just progression with just the beginning of every workout. Like if you want to go into handstands, start with just wall presses, wall holds, just straight basics. Don't try to skip. you know, like your workouts, you could just wind up injuring yourself that way.
Let's be very specific now. What's your favorite skill?
My favorite skill will probably be like handstands, back levers. I like statics a lot.
Let's approach handstand. How would you approach it? Let's say you're watching this video right now and you want to start practicing a handstand. How would you implement it into your workout routine? And how do you think it's the best way to learn it fast?
Okay, the best way to learn it fast, I would say, is just holds on the wall. That way your shoulders get stronger. By implementing it into your workouts, I would say just kick up straight on the floor and just try to control your hands, you know, to try to hold a handstand.
Would you do this before your workout or after or during?
I would say before.
Or separate completely?
I would say before, just because you'll be a little bit more fresh. You know, if you do it after a lot of reps, I think you'll probably be like pretty exhausted to do, you know, like presses on your handstands.
So you would walk into the park or gym, you warm up, then you do the handstand specific drills. But let's say you swatch the handstand for a different skill, then you'll do skill practice, and then you end it with a workout of basics.
Right. Yeah, I'll end it with my workout basics. I'll do my handstands, practices right before my basics, and that way just try to progress each more on my workouts and just holding it more and more every time.
And how often would you practice handstand?
I would say try to do it as much as you can. You know, also listen to your body. If you feel like you're pretty exhausted, you know, give it a rest, one day of rest, but just keep consistent at it all the time.
Do you practice handstand only in the days you work out, or do you find you practice handstand also some days you don't work out?
Some days I don't work out as well. I'll practice it, but mostly like maybe like after like a few reps of like pull-ups and dips and push-ups, then I'll go into practicing my handstands. So that way I'll be like warmed up.
Perfect. I think you told me good stuff. Thank you very much. What's up, everyone? I'm here today with Zay, a champion of different freestyle calisthenic competitions here in America, based out of Miami. And we're asking everyone today, what's the best way to approach a new skill?
Best way to approach a new skill, I'll always go by this. I've learned the hard way. Master the fundamentals. You're going for an advanced movement. It's very important to master the progressions first. So the basics, push-ups, pull-ups, dips. If you can't achieve those movements, use a resistance band to help you out and assist you. And then you just work your way up from there. Also very important to stretch. Flexibility is strength. It's extremely underrated in the sport. I advise everyone to incorporate at least 45 minutes, not 45, I'd say like 30 minutes a day, just doing basic stretches, hamstring, shoulder, rotator cuff stretches, because these movements are very intense on our bodies, and if we don't stretch properly, you could injure yourself.
What do you mean you learned the hard way?
Oh man, I've had a TFCC tear on my wrist.
From calisthenics?
From calisthenics.
What exactly caused it?
Hefesto training.
So and you felt like if you're better at basics, that would have not happened?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of just jumped into that movement, not knowing how intense it was. And I thought that I was strong enough to pull it off, but I definitely was not. Long story short, I trained like maybe once with the resistance band, and it felt easy, so I kind of just went for it without the band, and I ended up hurting my wrist. I was out for like 6 months.
Was that the only injury? Or were relating to calisthenics and the fact that you didn't build up on fundamentals?
So I've had that injury that set me back. Even with like wrist injury, like something light, like if you don't stretch your wrist before like practicing handstands, you can like tweak your wrist. It can hold you back up to like a month sometimes if you don't do like the basic wrist stretches. So that's very important.
You have a wide variety of different freestyle movements. I feel like you have a good diverse, let's say, glossary of moves. How would you say is your strategy? Let's say you just seen a new move today and you loved it and you're like, I want to learn that move. What would you do?
So the old me?
No.
The new me?
And not just new, but what you feel has been the most effective way. Like, I want to get this move, I want to get it as fast as possible.
So for me, I like to rather be safe than sorry. So I would either go to like a gymnastics gym and practice that move like under a foam pit, because some of these movements you can land wrong. So not only like you can land wrong on your leg, so that can result into like an ankle sprain, even like I've seen torn ACLs from freestyle calisthenics. So for me, I like to approach it by going to like a gymnastics gym where there's a foam pit, beneath you. That way, if you do land wrong, you don't hurt yourself. And then I try to like master that move there, and then I'll take it to like to the street.
How would someone find you next gym? I think just Google your address
Yeah.
and then what, open mat?
Yeah,
Gymnastics gym?
yeah. I was just like, the way I did it was I just Googled like gymnastics, and I typed in my area code, and that's how I found the nearest one in my location. But
Not all of them offer open mat. I travel a lot and I've been to a couple.
Yeah.
So you gotta,
have to call.
but every city has a gymnastics gym. You
Yeah.
can call them and see if
call
they have
them.
open sessions.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them are just strictly for the students, but most of those have like open gym days, like once a week, twice a week sometimes. So just make sure you call ahead and ask.
All right, so you kind of said spraining ankles, but I think that has more to do with dynamic moves. How about statics? So you've seen a new static today, where there's not a lot of room for error as far as like landing wrong.
Okay.
There's still room for error, but not error as far as landing wrong. How do you approach a new static move you want to learn?
So static movements, man, I've been training with using a resistance band for like the past 2 years. I think that's the best way.
So front lever, planche, back lever.
So front lever, planches. So planches, I just recently incorporated a resistance band. I never used to train it with a resistance band. I used to just train like tuck holds because I kind of built the strength up to where I was kind of like strong enough to do like a tuck planche, so that's what I was training. But even like if I was like going for like a straddle planche, I would still train like tuck planches. Let's say there's 7 days out of the week, maybe like 4 days, and then I'll train straddle once a week. Because if you train straddle planches multiple times a day, then it could result in like tendonitis and like forearm splints and stuff like that. So it's good to like.
So you do the hardest progression you can do 1 day out the week, and then you do the easier.
So that main goal, that main movement that you're trying to train, that you want to achieve, I would train that maybe once a week.
Once a week, and then the other days you do like
just the base. So just like the progression.
50% progression.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then 1 day out the week you go to the highest you could, like 90, 100%.
Yeah.
Got it. And that's how you approach all your skills.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
perfect. I think you gave a great actionable advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
What's up, everyone? I'm here with Lulu, and today we're asking everyone, what's the best way to approach learning a new skill?
Well, first and foremost, in my opinion, I would just like analyze whatever the move is. So like, for example, if it's something that you saw like somebody do right in front of you, go up to that person because obviously they're knowledgeable and they got it. So you study how they did it, like emulate them, but also get their tips on how they did it. For example, if it was a 360, ask him like, what is he using? Is he gyrating his hips more? Is he throwing with his arm? Whatever it is. Get as much consensus for the skill as you can, and then that way you have a good outline of how to go forward and start training it. And then from there, it's just the basic principle of trial and error and just like attempting and just adjusting better and better. Some skills come easy, some don't. So it's just a matter of just like tracking how easy or difficult intermediate is and just going from there. So
Let's say, for example, the 360 use. So you would really analyze the way their body moves. And if you see them in person, let's say you see it on video, would you say like you watch it in slow motion over?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I can remember whenever I first started my calisthenics journey, that's exactly what I used to do. Like I studied, I think it was barstarzz, and I noticed how he was like flicking his wrist like a certain way, and that's what gave him the momentum to just throw and have like an easy catch. Versus others who would like I would see them and they would throw their legs or whatever the case may be, and it just didn't look as pure, as clean as it could be. So I went up to Jay himself and I was like, yo, how do you do that? And of course, it was exactly as I predicted. Like he just flicks his wrist a certain way to give him a little added pull in order for the momentum to be nice and catch. So it's just a matter of like studying and then figuring out if you're right or not, and then trial and error from there, in my opinion.
Let's say a static movement. How would you approach that? Like handstand? Because you have to say it's a little different. I feel like you described really good. Well, it's good for all moves.
Yeah.
But let's say static, but you have to really focus on building the strength.
Dynamics are completely different from statics. Statics is a matter of just honestly, some of them come naturally. Like I've met people that have a front lever off the bat, but 9 times out of 10 that's not going to be the case. You have to work really, really hard for a front lever. So if it's a lower back issue, if it's a core issue, whatever the case may be, you have to literally work on all of those things in order to stiffen them up. Some people have the strongest upper body, everything at all, but they lack the core, so there's no way they're gonna really realistically hold a nice straddle planche because they're gonna be putting all their strength on their shoulders. So you have to even your body out. Your body has to be completely even in order for you to get even close to mastering it. So it's a well-dispersed part, so it's core, it's legs, it's everything. You learn what the movement is and what you need to get strong to get it, and then you train those until you get it. There's no other way. You can't just like attempt straddle planches till you get it. You can, but you're gonna get injured and you're not gonna get the best results, in my opinion.
How many times do you practice the skill during the week?
Usually I try to train
5 to 6 days a week, and I'll train skill 4 to 5. So like depending on what it is, like handstands, it's like you can train balance and you can train strength. So like I consider those 2 different types of skills, but it's still the same movement. So like I'll train maybe skill one day and then presses the next day. So like I'll just try to balance it out and listen to my body. But you want to stay on it for 5 to 6 days a week, especially if you're seeking the movement. If you're just trying to maintain it, like 3 or 4.
How much time frame do you practice the skill? Just practicing. We're not talking about no conditioning.
Like for example, like I'll handstand train and trial and error and all that, and attempt new moves or hollows or whatever for like a good 35 minutes, hour. Usually after a workout. So like I'll get myself exhausted, and then whatever I have left, I'll put it towards handstand training. So that if I ever competed or anything like that fresh, I'm nice and like my movements are as clean as possible.
So if you learned it tired, you definitely got it clean.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're fresh.
Like yeah, I try to give myself a certain number. So like I'll just rep out, like let's say 200 push-ups or whatever the case may be. I'll just give myself a great workout. Stretch it out, loosen up, get my lactic acid out, and then train skill. Train handstands, train planche, train whatever. Obviously, it's gonna be 10 times harder, and if you don't got it, you don't got it. But that's where strength is built. Like you can train fresh every day. You could do clean muscle ups when you just walk to the park, but you can do 10 clean muscle ups after you just finish the park workout. That's the difference between building strength and just maintaining it, in my opinion.
Perfect, thank you. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Stiff, and now we're asking everyone what's the best way to approach a new skill.
The best way to approach a new skill, I'd say you'd have to observe the skill you're trying to achieve, gain, and just try to break it down into the type of motions you're going to be using, and try strengthening for those motions, like at their most extreme, depending on what the skill is. So let's say you're going for plyometric push-ups, that's when you're like crossing your arms in the air, for those who don't know. That's technically a push-up, but you're pushing off at a point off the ground, where you're using more force, more explosiveness, but it's still a push-up. Like it's not that it necessarily changes, it's just taken to a next step, and that's how you do it. You kind of break it down to its most basic and progress from there.
So use an example you said. So if you want to learn this, right?
Yeah.
So you'll practice basic push-ups because it's part of that movement. So you're pushing up and you go like that. And what else would you do? Let's use that move for the example, an explosive push-up where you go like that. So you'll practice push-ups and what else?
For that particular movement?
That very specific movement.
I will also try to strengthen my core. So I could work on planks, for instance. And
You feel like the core plays a big part in that explosive push-up?
Yeah, because it's also something that comes from the hip, or when you get that explosiveness there, like you if you tighten this, you're gonna have more air time, for instance, or you're gonna have more control of like the whole motion. You're using your whole body at that point, like every fiber, and a lot of that comes from control of your core, in my opinion.
So to apply that to everything, let's say a new skill, you would look at the muscles it works,
right,
and then the motions it looks similar to that's easier.
Yes.
And then you'll practice those too.
Yeah, because from the basics, from the foundation, you gain the strength to just play with stuff. Like you can't just expect to like start wilding out on the bar without like first breaking it down and like seeing where that progresses from, because you're gonna end up either hurting yourself or not learning the skill to the best of your ability and getting frustrated because of that, because you're not I guess you're not getting it you're not practicing it, you're not getting the whole it's not as easy for you that
Yeah, practicing this, it becomes easier.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. To use that old cliche, it really does.
So at what point of practicing push-ups and strengthening your core do you feel like it's time to start going for the move? And do you go straight for the move, or do you start like a gradual pace towards the move?
All right. So ideally, you want to start like a gradual pace towards the move. So like if you
basic push-ups, explosive push-ups,
yeah,
clap,
like
and then maybe towards the end.
Yeah, then eventually crossing all the way over. So you probably lift your palms off the ground, which is something that is probably not as intuitive, because you're probably used to seeing people just pushing and that's it. But get yourself off the ground, and when you feel confident with yourself there, I know it's gonna sound counterintuitive, you're gonna know when you're ready. It's like you're gonna be doing it. Like that's the best way to like say it.
So when you feel confident, you move on to the next stage.
Yeah, when you feel confident with yourself, because this is, I think, what a lot of these bodyweight workouts do. Like, they get you like in tune with yourself, and that's ideally what you want to be doing and progressing with that and seeing where you can take it to next.
How often do you train skills as opposed to how often do you do conditioning? Do you do them at the same session? Do you separate them? Is it two different things for you that you do, or is it combined?
Man, this has been something that like I've always tried to like find like a balance for, and it's always, or at least it was like hard at one point, because you know, like when you start with like skills, you know, it could get pretty addictive sometimes, or at the, you know, when I first started anyways, you know, it gets pretty addicting to the point where, you know, like it's like you kind of neglect like the foundation or like the basics from, you know, from where the skills stem from. And that's why I kind of like emphasize, like, look, you know, if it takes more time, you know, more patience, like to get like the whole thing taken care of, you know, like to get to that level, then take your time doing it, because it's only going to pay off that much more. So in terms of finding like a balance again, I would aim for like at least 1 or 2 days a week. Like if I was going for a skill, and like the rest of the week, let's say if you got 7 days in a week, I'll keep the weekends for skills and my week for conditioning. I think that's a pretty good model. It keeps you active. It's fun, you know, like it doesn't get boring to a degree, because you know that could happen too.
So skill days and conditioning days are different days.
You could also mix both. But
what do you feel has been the best in your personal experience?
The best in my personal experience is that last thing I just mentioned.
So when separate. So you have 5 days a week you do conditioning,
yeah,
and then the weekends you'll focus on these skills.
Yeah, because like, you know, when you go, you know, just because you get to the park doesn't mean you always know what you want to do. So like whatever you kind of start the mode for or set your mode for, that's kind of what you eventually just kind of maybe end up doing. It could change up, but for the most part, what you start doing is what you end up doing. So.
We're not ready.
Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, but so figure conditioning first, and skill later, just because it's gonna be, I think, pound for pound, the best result you could get for, you know, for your work.
Do you feel like you come back? So let's say you practice those skills Saturday, Sunday. You go Monday through Friday, do your conditioning. The next Saturday, do you feel more confident about the skills that you worked on the previous weekend, the same or less? I personally feel that might be a long break between, let's say, Sunday to Saturday to practice the skills again. But we're speaking from your very personal experience.
From my personal experience, I actually encourage the break sometimes. Like,
but you feel like you come back that next Saturday better at the skills that you were practicing the weekend before?
Yeah, like I don't think I've regressed in anything. Like I've always, like, yeah, maybe there's times when I have like a downtime, I'm probably not like as active and stuff. But
when you're training hard and everything's right,
yeah, but when everything's right,
you do the skills Saturday, Sunday, you do the conditioning during the week, and then you come back that next weekend, you feel like you're more confident towards the skills that you practiced the previous weekend.
Absolutely. It's because it gives your body time to like just sink that in, let it, like, you know, let it fall into place, like just kind of like. No, it's like riding a bike, you know, like, yeah, one day, you know, you get on, you get a little wobbly, but you come back to it, and with time, it's like, whoa, you know, you always have that balance there, assuming, you know, you have your medulla correct and all that stuff.
Thank you very much. What's up, everyone? I'm here with Chuck, and today, Chuck, we're asking everyone, what's the best way to learn and approach a new skill?
To learn a new skill, first you're going to want to do new skills. The approach would be more of a basic approach. First, you want to know how far you can get into it, then just going all out for it, because you don't want to injure yourself. So, depending on what you're going to do, like for me, my new skill was handstands, or it could be a muscle up, for instance. You want to try it, but you want to go far enough that where you're comfortable, and not to where you may fail and possibly injure yourself. So,
how do you judge that? Just based on the way you confidence towards the move?
On how you feel about it, yeah. So depending on your strength, also, if your
no one could judge your fitness level better than you.
Of course not.
I could look at let's say a muscle up and know, okay, I could do this, or I could look at, let's say, a one-arm muscle up and know, okay, I'm not even close to doing this. Let me not try it.
Right, but you know, a lot of times people are overly confident because of what people tell you. So you think you got it, and sometimes you don't. So it's important to be realistic and have great expectations, but be realistic about it. Yeah, you wanna start slow. Start slow and do it at the beginning. So just so you have the most strength in order to do it.
So before you're conditioning.
Yeah, before you're doing some reps, before you're doing whatever, maybe stretch a little and go for it and see where you at and slowly progress.
And how often do you practice freestyle or skill practice as opposed to working out?
I actually like to do a lot of freestyle flow. So I'll do that in the beginning while I'm more not tired, and I'll rep more when I'm afterwards. And then in between, you'll get those energy bursts. You'll just throw it in there.
How many days a week?
Me personally, I like to do something every day. Maybe not as intense or as long in duration, but doing something every day will help you develop, get you where you want to go.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You train 7 days a week, conditioning and working out, but you have light days and hard days.
Facts, correct.
Okay, cool. I did something similar a couple years ago.
How did that go for you?
Good question. You flipped the script on me. It actually went pretty good. Now, instead of what I do is deload week. So if I go hard pretty much every training session with the rest breaks. So I have rest days, and then I have days I go hard. Maybe 5-6 days a week I train hard. I take that 1 or 2 days off. And then after 4 to 6 weeks, I'll take a deload week where I do 50% of my regular workout. 50% of my regular workout, and maybe do some yoga or more cardio based to get my tendons and my muscles that rejuvenate.
See, that's another thing though. That worked for you. That may not necessarily work for me, you know. So
no, that's why that's the point of these series, is to ask everyone, so you could hear everyone's advice and pick out
what you like.
Exactly.
I get it.
I totally believe that everyone should have their own
custom regimen. Yeah.
There's different genetics.
Because what you were saying for me, what I think worked for me was kind of the opposite of what you said. Freestyle, then do heavy loads, just so you could get the, you know.
Oh no. In my sessions, I also believe that you should practice the skill at the very beginning when you have the most energy. I think warm up.
Okay, I misunderstood.
I think warm up, skill, and then conditioning. I think
that's good. That's good. And the more comfortable you get with it, the more you switch it around, the more you play with it, the more you challenge yourself, the more you get creative, and that's how you don't get bored. Keep something new. Have the same thing but in a different way, so you won't ever get bored.
Thank you.
Yeah,
what's up, everyone? I'm here with Boy Dre, and we're asking everyone what's the best way to approach learning a new skill.
The first thing you should do is don't be afraid that you can't do it. The goal isn't to actually master the new skill the first time you try it. The first thing you have to do is attempt it. So if it's 360, get yourself off the bar. If it's handstands on the bars, try handstands on the ground. Get some smaller parallels. But try every skill. Even if it's a skill that you're not really into doing, every skill will lead you to learning another skill. But the very first thing you should do is try it. If you don't want to try it in front of everybody, wait till you get home. Because I know that's another thing. You get intimidated with a lot of people looking. Try the skill. I'm telling you. I said earlier in the workout, people are a lot stronger than they think. So try the skill, any skill. And it's okay to practice more skills. You can try 5 or 6 skills all at the same time. Every sport, try it. Try it once. Take some time, try it again. Every time you try it, move a little bit further. I'm telling you, it's gonna pay off.
What would you say about someone who, let's say, could only do like a muscle up or 2? Not so clean. Should they try the 360 muscle up?
No, so if you have, so let's say you have regular muscle up and you kip a little, you can start to try to go into the 360, but why do that? Master the muscle up, every single part of that muscle up before you go into the 360. I'm not saying don't attempt it, but I'm saying it's gonna be a lot easier if you master one skill first. So if I was just telling somebody who was doing headbangers for the first time, if you finally get the headbangers, okay, now try to do headbangers without getting off the bar. Every time you get a skill and you get better at it, try to master it in a way that you could do that skill in any single possible way. So if you're gonna do muscle ups, once you get that strict muscle up high, muscle up and let go of the bar before you muscle up and do a 360. Do a 360 without the muscle up, and then combine those two skills.
So we want to build like a gradual slope.
Absolutely. You always want to go. You gotta crawl before you walk. And I know that seems boring. I know you want to jump into doing all these fancy tricks, but the reality is everybody, all the professionals, doesn't matter what sport, what skill, they practice these tiny little drills. Steph Curry shoots right under the basket. For about 15 minutes before the game starts, he's like right under the basket. He doesn't practice all these three-point shots. That's not how it works. You have to practice these small skills first, over and over again.
That's great.
That's about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's up, everyone? I'm here with Moises, and today we're asking everyone, what is the best way of approaching learning a new skill?
To learn a new skill, I would personally go to a gym with mats. So if you do fall or do something incorrect, you're not gonna get hurt. You might just fall, get up, try it again. Learning it in the streets is a lot more difficult because you feel like if you fall, you're gonna get hurt and it's gonna completely stop you from training. But honestly, going to a gym with mats is probably the best deal for me.
And that sounds like you're talking about learning dynamics. Let's talk about statics. Let's say front lever planche, handstand, back lever. These movements where you don't risk so much damage from moving.
For movements, for static movements, I would definitely hold it every day for a second longer, do more reps, do body conditioning. You can use a band, which he provides. You can do more reps that will help towards the static that you actually want to do.
7 days a week?
I will probably say 4 days a week. Your body needs time to rest, you need rest, and maybe 2 or 3 cheat meals.
Do you put conditioning with skill training, or do you separate these two things?
I will probably keep them together because my main focus would be sets, doing as many reps as I can until muscle failure, basically. So that's what I would do.
So you practice the skills before, after, or during?
I will do during the workout. I will practice.
So give an example. Let's use front lever.
All right, for front lever, I would do basically leaning pull-ups to where your body's at a 45, not a full 90 when you're at a front lever. And basically work your way up from there. Doing this on a repeated note will eventually unlock it in your mind for you to actually do it.
Thank you.
All right.